Okay, so this is a conversation that I wanted to have maybe last year, but wanted to sort of hold off on it at that time, just given what was going on in the marketplace. If you're just new to the channel, my name's Alex. I run an AI agency, digital agency in Toronto, and we help small businesses, medium enterprise businesses, as well as even transit systems and municipalities on their AI journeys towards adoption, getting them integrated with AI agents and pretty much implementing AI decision making layers into their operations. And so, this conversation in real estate was something that I wanted to have last year, but after a few conversations, very emotional conversations with real estate brokerages, mortgage agents, it was just, hands off for this for now, just because adoption was very new at that time. They were asking things that I really didn't want to entertain, like calling tens of thousands of homeowners, trying to get them to either sell their home, cold calling people, asking them to buy homes, just crazy use cases that I didn't want to be a part of. But now we're seeing another wave of real estate teams, mortgage teams asking for a lot more measured and meaningful integrations. And one integration that came up was integrating voice AI agents into multiple listing services, or what's otherwise known as MLS systems. For me, beautiful use case. Love to see it, because in my mind, I think to myself, okay, we went from those early adopters just trying to shotgun, 5, 10,000 calls out a day, to now more sophisticated teams that are looking at having AI voice agents go into MLS systems, get information out of the system, like literally on the call, inject that information into the call, and then have meaningful conversations with buyers about what sort of property they're looking for, all happening seamlessly, in a few seconds. So I'm really glad that the real estate space is sort of evolving in their perception of what AI can do. Now, I'm not saying we don't do outbound. I'm just saying we do it in a way that's above board. There's no sort of, black hat operation where we're having agents call thousands of people, but we will 100% build agents that can route calls, uh, dig into MLS systems for information, and even pre-qualify buyers on the phone before that information is either sent to a broker, or even have the call routed to a broker live after that person's determined that they like the MLS listing. So I just want to get into what's sort of happens in that integration. Um, and so if you're new to the world of AI, this is going to be just a very brief overview of sort of what we look at when we're looking at an integration of this kind. If you are not new to AI and you think to yourself, hey, my operation's ready for a voice AI agent to be interacting with these systems, putting information into CRMs, taking it out of MLS systems, don't hesitate to book a discovery call with our team. You might not get me on the first call. It really depends on, what sort of operation you're looking at, use case. But if you do get to the point of a prototype, I will certainly make myself known. So, MLS integration for voice AI receptionist: how brokerages connect listings, calls, and bookings. So, just the MLS 101 for people who aren't aware. I mean, if you're in the real estate business, mortgage broker business, you know what this is 100%. But for those who aren't aware, think of the MLS like a giant trusted notice board for homes in your market. Brokers and agents post the facts about a property there, so other real estate professionals and approved tools can find accurate, up-to-date information in one place. It's a single place most agents trust as the official listing record, what would be considered the source of truth for property's price, status, and details. Local boards or associations run the MLS for their area and control who can see or use the data. Other authorized users and approved tech partners, websites, CRMs, and apps can access the full feed. MLS data isn't automatically public to anyone. Why brokers care? Simple. It's when your listing is correct in the MLS, other agents and tech tools show the right info. That means fewer misleads, fewer confused callers, and a better experience for buyers and sellers. Typical fields you'll find in an MLS record: the listing ID or the MLS number, the address, which includes street, city, and postal code, the price and status, active, pending, and sold, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, square footage and lot size, property type, detached condo or townhouse, photos and virtual linked tour links, public remarks, descriptions the agent provides, open house dates and times, listing agent, brokerage contact details, days on the market, and the list date. Excuse me, coming off of a little bit of fever, but we trudge on. And then, of course, the taxes and neighborhood data. So for a voice AI receptionist, MLS listings are absolute gold because it lets the agent or the AI agent essentially read live data for the callers and have that conversation live with the caller or the buyer. Price, open house time, who to contact, so callers can get accurate answers immediately instead of waiting for the person to look things up in the system. What's even more interesting is that if your brokerage, let's just say your brokerage had a voice AI agent connected to MLS, and that person saw one of your listings on the system and said, "Hi, I want to talk to someone about this listing." They would be the MLS listing has the listing agent on it. The voice AI agent would be able to pull that data for the listing agent, and if that listing agent is part of your brokerage, route the call live to that real estate agent. And to me, that is amazing, seamless, automated workflow because we're basically using the MLS and your listings as the first point of engagement with your brokerage, and the AI agent simply routing that interested party to right to that broker without having to go through any sort of intermediary, fill out any forms, anything like that. It's just happening in live conversation on a call. So who uses MLS systems? Brokers, agents, boards, and tech vendors. Brokers, agents, MLS board associations, tech vendors like ourselves. The public consumers, they see limited information to public portals, not the full MLS feed, but it still allows them to see the properties that they want to buy. Uh, Roles and permissions: who can read, list, and grant access. So agents and brokers are generally the ones listing the properties. Authorized users and approved vendors can get reads on the full MLS data. So when we go to our clients, we say, "Hey, you guys have an access to the MLS." We would be tapping in through your license in order to access the API for your specific agent, and then the agent can have conversation about that data. So this is where, if you're in the industry and there's like MLS systems, CRM systems, all this stuff, you guys are inundated with a lot of technology, and really, to have all of the listing data centralized in these MLS the services or systems, it's really powerful because you're sort of cutting away at the other technology that might not be relevant to your operation or the buyer. Like, let's just say you have an MLS system and a CRM. If you had a voice AI agent, the AI agent on the call with the buyer could pull information from the MLS, take that information, qualify that caller, book them on a time with a real estate agent on the calendar, and then right after the call, send that real estate agent a post call report saying, "Hey, all of this stuff has happened. By the way, all of this information is now in your CRM to view." And so instead of relying on maybe someone to be answering the phone 24/7 and doing this job, having a voice AI agent do it automatically, where even if the person calls back, the AI agent can retrieve sort of the listing that they were looking at and say, "Hey, are you still interested in this, or you want to look at similar properties?" There's all sorts of things, um, or all sorts of ways that the agent can go into the system, retrieve information if it's a specific listing, or if it's a listing that's similar to the ones that the person's looking at through a query. Like the possibilities are endless in a way where it makes me think, hey, if real estate teams really started to think, how can I make my operation better? How can I make my workflows better? Like it was young people that came to us with these ideas and wanted to actualize them. And so now we're working on a couple integrations for voice agents and MLS. Some of the MLS standard platform or major platforms and standards to know: What is Rezo? Rezo is the Real Estate Standards Organization. Defines the common language and API rules for MLS data. So we know that the industry uses so many different systems to understand listing data. So you have to sort of have a standardized way to read it. Two key parts of the Rezo data dictionary: standard field names like list price, bedroom total, listing status, and Rezo Web API, a modern REST data interface for vendors can use. Basically, we can go into request data on those fields. All this stuff is really technical. I mean, if a real estate agent is looking at this video and going, "What is this guy even talking about?" This is basically the nuts and bolts of how your multiple listing services is working. We just go into that system and pick what we need for that person on the phone call at that time, and then have a meaningful conversation about that property. There's also IDXs. For getting listings onto websites and stuff like that. If you're a real estate agent, you probably have an IDX on your website, or if you're worth your weight in salt, so to speak, you probably want something like that to show off your specific listings. So some common vendor platforms that we see in the space: Flex MLS, Paragon, Matrix, Realtor.ca is a huge one in Canada, IDX Broker, iHome Finder, List Hub, Showing Time. These are all, like, there's so many systems in the space, and that's why I really feel like we've come to a point now where the professionals just have too many CRMs, too many systems. Like, do we need more systems, or do we need something that can consolidate all of these systems into one purposeful workflow where we're not interacting with them so much and everything's automated? That's sort of where I see the future for just professionals in general, but especially the ones dealing with so much data, so many different systems. Like, it's way easier to have AI agents deal with this stuff, and then you guys just sell houses and be the great real estate agents that you are. How MLS integration powers a voice AI receptionist. What's the business value? So, phone caller has a conversation with the AI agent. Excuse me. That agent then looks up a listing in MLS, and then the agent pretty much books the user onto the calendar for a showing, and all that information gets pushed to a CRM. So connecting your voice agent to an MLS turns every inbound call into an opportunity: fast, accurate, and trackable. And so some of the real business benefits include faster answers, higher conversion, smarter routing. You can route to the real estate agent right away. 24/7 coverage, so you don't have to worry if people are calling your office 4 a.m., 8 p.m. AI agent's going to be able to handle everything. Even the brokers inside of the brokerage, real estate agents, you guys can call your AI agent or your receptionist and ask her to look up certain types of properties. What's on the market in this area? What's on the market in that area? She basically can tap into MLS as though she were like embedded in the system. That's going to be a little bit larger of an integration, but the usefulness of having a voice that's connected to all of the MLS listings in real time, very, very powerful, not only for internal teams, but especially for buyers. Maybe even sellers as well. I'd imagine some sellers would want to take a look at their locality to see what things are selling for, just to see if they want to consider selling their property. But it's a really powerful tool for buyers, sellers, and internal teams. So just a small example of what would happen in a call. Caller says, "What's the price of 123 Main Street?" AI agent says, "Listing 123 Main Street. Current list price is 700,000. Status is active. Would you like to schedule a showing?" So right away, maybe there's be more languaging on there to show the agent pretty much saying, "Hey, I'm going to look up something in the MLS. Just give me a second," and then come back with that information. But the caller gets the answer and is prompted to book, and it's immediate. Like, it's just bang, bang, especially if the caller knows it's AI. "Hey, I want to call. I want to talk about this property. Book me on the time with the listing agent on that property." That'll all happen in seconds with the voice agent. Booking for showings, the agent can do that no problem. Routing a hot lead. Again, as I mentioned, if the agent's calling a property that the brokerage is already looking after, and that listing agent is on that property or that data field for that property, the agents or the voice AI agent's going to get that information and say, "Hey, I can actually route the call to John Smith because he works for our brokerage. Did you want to speak to him right away about this property?" No problem. route the call with John Smith with the buyer, and that this is all happening automatically. You don't need to have someone manually telling anyone what to do. Simple technical architecture, voice AI, middleware, MLS, CRM. So very, very straightforward understanding of the build is we have a voice AI having a conversation with the user, tapping into the MLS after they figure out the time for a showing or a time to meet the real estate agent, books that onto a calendar, pushes that information all to a CRM. And that's a relatively straightforward workflow and integration. It's just a matter of structuring it in a way where you're being as natural as possible in the conversation logic, going from like that, hey, hello, this is ABC Brokerage, all the way to, great, you're booked to see John at this time. I'm going to let him know in an email or give him a call or whatever workflow you're looking at. So at a high level, the voice AI sits in front of callers. The middleware is the brains or the translator that talks to the MLS system, and your CRM, basically the APIs like middleware or the system that's connecting them. When a call arrives, the voice agent captures the intent and slots basically the data fields that we want to look up in the MLS system. Ask the system for listing data, and the middleware. You're going to see middleware a lot in this article. Is basically that system that you're using to connect to MLS. Like all of those platforms I showed before, there's a lot of them out there. It's like a sea of them. Basically, we're connecting your voice AI to that, which then taps into MLS data. Use that data to respond or take action, booking a showing, routing the call, then writes the outcome back to the CRM and notifies the people involved in an email, SMS, or even you can have the agent trigger a webhook to then call that person and say, hey, you know what? You got this person, that person looking at this property here. You might as well give them a call and book that showing. Let me see. I mean, this is all very, very technical stuff. Like, I don't really need to go into this. A lot of the content we built for this particular article was for readability for ChatGPT, just so we can help more real estate agents find us. But for the sake of this video, I want to keep it pretty relevant to you guys. Excuse me. Man, this fever got me. Authentication, licensing, and MLS access. So if you're a brokerage and you're trying to figure out, hey, I see this guy on YouTube. He's got glasses and he's wearing a wife beater and he's got a bun on his head. What is he talking about? How is he getting access to my MLS? And basically, you are using a tool or a system that allows you to get access to listings, and you have a license for that. That tool is able to connect to other systems through an integration that we would be employing to build your voice AI agent. And so you have access in what's called authentication key and passwords and all that stuff. That's pretty much given to you with your license. Or you might have to go to your systems provider for your MLS and ask like, hey, can I get permission to get authentication so we can access the APIs? Generally, they say yes. Like, API integrations are a dime a dozen these days. If your MLS systems provider is not allowing you to access the API, that would be a little curious. And because there's so many, I highly doubt that. But generally, a lot of them are very cooperative. They want people to use their system, so it's like, yeah, for sure, access it. So there's a checklist of things that you guys want to go through to get access to that data. You might have to get approvals from some people. If you need any sort of information on documentation on privacy, compliance, confidentiality, we have all that. But really, because we're accessing such public data, I would imagine that your provider is okay with giving access to the API. But basically, the real-time MLS data is the considerations that the design would be taking for live phone calls is to detect intent. Essentially, we want to detect whether or not this person's a buyer or they're just kicking tires. And so having an AI voice agent do that, or at least trained to do that, a lot of the times we're finding it's way easier for an AI to detect intent, purchase intent, than it is humans, because we're so used to conversation and we're so okay with just having talk with people and just like, hey, yeah, we're doing things, and yeah, how is the weather, how is this, all this stuff is really irrelevant to your process, workflow, or operation. And voice agents, they don't do that. They get right down to business right away, unless you train them to be a little bit more jovial. But generally, the voice agents are not they're not doing anything but going towards that goal, which is to detect intent, book that person on the call for a showing, and getting that information to the real estate agent for who's looking after that listing. Why real time matters. Callers expect the latest price, availability, and showing times. Real time queries ensure the AI gives the correct answers that don't embarrass the brokerage or lose a lead. Like providing misinformation on a call, if you're a human being, that's part of the program. It's human error. But when you're an AI agent, if you're built correctly, you pretty much never do that. You always have perfect, exact information real time for whatever listing that you're looking at. And that includes list price, listing status, open house times, and showing availability, agent assignment, contact on record, current appointment, says hold status, short time sensitivity flags. Um, and this is something like this is something that I think would be important to people who are in urgency or looking for a deal. Like there's all these little nooks and crannies of information that you can get out of MLS listing and have the agent trained on to leverage in conversation. And then, of course, minimal confirmation fields like the street number or MLS listing number. That's going to be really easy to pick up the property. Live query best practices. So we generally want to get the minimum amount of information to pull up a listing, and that includes request only, the exact fields that you need. So the fewer items in the request to get the data, the easier it is. And this is getting more into developer language. And again, if you found this article or these YouTube videos and you start to see things that are a little bit too technical or out of the ways of what you're comfortable with in terms of technical development or AI or anything like that, just book a discovery call. Like there's no problem. We do this stuff so much now. Like we're just used to it. Like if I don't see API documentation on a website, I'm like, it's okay. I'm not, this conversation is not for me yet. Excuse me. Oh man, this YouTube video might have to get edited, but we work even in the sickness. We're working, guys. We do not stop here at Peak Demand. You'll see me eyes watering, nose running, maybe even my ears before I stop putting up YouTube videos for you guys. Okay, let's continue. Fallback, security, all that stuff is completely irrelevant to you guys. Um, Security, personal information handling is another thing that we're really adamant about. If you want to keep your callers' information secure, no problem. Everything's encrypted. Like even some of our vendors have to ask us to get permission to see some of the data in some of our accounts when they want to make a fix or something like that, just because it's end-to-end encryption. No one sees the information in your accounts except for your account manager and your basically your team or whoever you want to see it, and that includes the people who are calling your brokerage asking about information. More technical mumbo jumbo, testing and deployment. So we know AI is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of teams. Like we're getting more, and it's more and more young people. I love to see young people booking with us because they know that this is the future. They know that there aren't enough skilled people in the workforce to just jump into these roles and start performing in a way where it's economically feasible or justifiable to pay them what it is that they're doing. And especially inside sales reps or people who talk on the phone, like a lot of the times those roles are just be going to entry level people. Yeah, just get on the phone, you route the call to someone who knows more than you, and eventually over time you'll learn. But we're getting to a point now where even that frontline interaction is being scrutinized so much by buyers and sellers and whoever's calling your business that you have to be sharp as a tack on that first touch point. And so putting someone who's untrained or just hired in that role might be a little bit of a risk to your opportunity cost. Now, AI agents minimize that risk or nearly zero it out because they know exactly what to say because you told them exactly what to say. They don't have to think. I mean, they think when they go into uh, APIs or they're doing larger inferences or deductions and more sophisticated processes, but that's like at warp speed and they're using like 200, 300 IQ to do it, maximum reasoning. Like you don't have to worry about them flubbing a call. They The worst comes to worst, maybe that they got disconnected or what have you, and that person can just call back and have that conversation again. We're even seeing we're even seeing people calling our agents and saying, I want to talk to a human. I don't want to talk to a voice AI. I'm not comfortable talking to a voice AI. Can I talk to a human? And then they'll ask the AI, can I talk to a human? The AI is like, yeah, no problem. That's exactly what I'm here for. I want to get you in front of our team ASAP. And so for me, even the people who are AI aversive, they go through the workflow even faster than the people who like or know about AI. You'll find that the people who like AI, they'll start talking to these agents, asking them all sorts of funny questions, even getting really curious about what the agent can do. Like it's so fascinating to watch humans interact with voice AI agents, and I can't wait for more of them down the pipe because to me, I really do believe that we're going to be having meaningful work relationships with these agents to a point where we're going to be, hailing them as the heroes of the office for someone. This agent answered 10,000 calls this month and booked 200 meetings or what have you. Excuse me. So for a voice AI integration checklist for brokerages, these are some of the things that you guys would be looking for. Identify which MLS your brokerages uses, platforms, names, board contacts, anyone you need to get approval from. If you're a Canadian, you confirm whether you're using realtor.ca or any other aggregator feeds. Get sign off on authorization or vendor access for whoever you're working with for your voice agent. If it's us, if it's another agency, if you don't have an agency yet and you want to speak to someone who knows what they're talking about and has a little bit of an idea on what you would be looking at in terms of a roadmap for implementation, just book a discovery call. We'll do everything for you. Like we get people coming in here just saying, "Hey, I have an idea about this, and I think AI could help. Like, what do you guys? What can you guys do?" I just turn around and say, "Miss, we work on what we consider to be the canvases of infinity. Whatever you think, we can build. Whatever imagination or workflow that you've conceived, we can bring to reality using AI. It's quite like I want to say in my career, I've never felt a point until the last few years where my client's wish was my command. Like literally, we can do exactly what you're wishing. And so AI, it's really transformed the agency in a way where it's like our clients are getting literally exactly what they want in a very powerful way. So just have ideas. Bring your ideas. Bring your this checklist not going to have that, but bring your ideas. Bring your aspirations for what you want to see in your workflow. Continuing on with the checklist, request a sandbox test or API test environment from your MLS provider so that we can actually get in there and start poking away at things and having voice agents pull data. A little bit more technical stuff, you need API credentials, authentication keys, API keys, all that stuff. When we get into it, we'll show you what that is. But generally, you just need authentication to access the MLS API. This is all more technical stuff. Uh, you need your CRM calendar for bookings. The minimum amount of information that you want from the conversation to access the MLS. But I suspect we're going to have brokerages that want integrations that look like, hey, Alex, what if someone calls and they don't really know what the listing looks like, but they just want to get a basket of listings that match their preferences? Can we do that? Yes, we can. We can quite literally pull out we can run a query on whatever a particular area or um, type of home that that person wants in that area, and then bring up a whole list of things to have the conversation with the user, with the voice AI agent, talking about a whole bunch of properties. That's all possible. Like what you guys are looking for that a internal sales rep can do on the phone can be done with a voice AI agent. So I'm really glad to see that more and more real estate agents are figuring this out, or at least they're thinking like this is a pathway that's going to be fruitful. Yeah, more of a checklist here, and you can look at this checklist, but it's really, really technical. Again, the reason why this piece of content is so long and so technical is because we're getting more and more leads from ChatGPT, and we know it's because we're putting up the actual content that ChatGPT would be presenting to you guys in conversation. And you usually get to a point in that conversation where you're like, this is just too hard. We're not going to be able to do all this. And then that's when Peak Demand goes, well, this is what we do. This is our business model. We do all the hard stuff, all the technical integrations, while you guys just enjoy the automations. And then ChatGPT recognizes that and says, hey, why don't you guys just talk to Peak Demand? They'll do it. So I got to continue. I don't know when I'm going to stop making these videos. I might be making these videos for the rest of my career just because of how effective they are and how many people are using ChatGPT. Just a bit of an index or appendix, sorry, for MLS integration. If you're a business owner, these are some of the things you want to take a look at, or the brokerage owner or manager. But that's pretty much it. I have another video up there of an example of an agent calling and sort of bringing up those listings into the conversation. You guys are going to be able to find that in our blog. But if you are a brokerage, a real estate agent, and you want to take your operation to the next level, do not hesitate to book a discovery call with us. We're getting more and more into these integrations as time passes. People want, voice agents. They want employees that work 24/7. But once they're connecting to your systems, oh my gosh, the effectivity, the productivity, the sky's the limit. So really looking forward to more Canadians getting down this path. We're getting a lot of Americans. Like we're getting more Americans from ChatGPT than we're all getting Canadians for AI services. So to me, I'm going to beg you guys, do your research. We call people all the time and say, hey, I want to speak to the business owner about AI. It's like, oh, well, the owner only does his own research and he makes his decisions and he doesn't take cold calls. It's like, no problem. No problem. Do your research. If we come up in the ChatGPT conversation, the owner books with us anyway. So for us, whether or not we do less and less calls as time passes, just because it's not a very good use of our time. We try and call those ideal customer profiles, but if we get any sort of resistance, we're like, okay, just abandon them. We don't have time to convince someone to be better. We're really looking for those teams who've internalized that they want to be better. They want some sort of integration on their timeline. So that's pretty much it for this one. Again, my name is Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We do automation services, AI integrations, and SEO. If you're looking for business growth, if you're looking for operational efficiency, or you just want to take your workflows to the next level, don't hesitate to book a discovery call with our team, and we'll get down to it. No problem. Looking forward to the next one. Bye now.